100 Weber Street. The PUD amendment is necessary to expand their existing parking lot. The City Council conducted a second reading a first reading at their last meeting, and tonight staff is asking you to conduct the second reading and take action on the proposed amendment. Most of this information should look very familiar to the council since we just went through a fairly detailed presentation during the first reading at your last meeting. I will briefly go through the information again just to set the stage and for any questions and your consideration of the item. So again, originally constructed back in 1956 and expanded over the years. In 2012, the expansion that the site did require putting in a planned unit development, so there was some standards that needed adjustments to get the development that they needed. More recently, in 2024, they purchased 2 properties directly to the west on their same block, and they are now proposing to use that area to expand their existing parking lot by 35 total stalls. And the PUD amendment is necessary for that expansion. So again, just by way of background, the future land use in the comprehensive plan guides the property as public, semi-public, and the use is consistent in that category. Similarly, it's zoned R3 traditional residential, and institutional uses like this are allowed through the PUD. There was no public comment during the Planning Commission public hearing that occurred last month, and both staff and the Planning Commission are recommending approval. Because this was an amendment to an existing plan unit development, there was a concept plan process beforehand that included a neighborhood meeting back in April and review and comment by both the Planning Commission and Council before coming to the process that's culminating with you here tonight, which is the entitlement of the PUD amendment process. Again, just by way of reminding you, the project includes expansion of their existing parking lot just to the west into what were 2 adjacent residential properties. The deviations that from the code standards that are necessary to allow this or required as part of the PUD include the 0-foot setback along Weber, and that allows the parking lot to just extend to the west at its current design. A slight deviation from the standards in the code for the number of parking lot islands that are required per space. So the code requires 1 parking lot island per 10 spaces. In this case, they have 1 small portion of their parking lot on the most south side up against the building, where they have 13 stalls without a parking lot island. It's actually probably the least amount of impact in this location because it's furthest from the street. It's up against the building where there is also already some existing green space in place. And then there's a code requirement that the parking lot islands that they do have are at least 8 feet wide. One of them that they're proposing is only 7 feet wide, and that allows them to maintain the other required depths for parking lot stalls and drive aisle widths. So this is a more detailed view showing the parking lot proposed expansion area, the landscaping that's proposed around the perimeter of the site, the stormwater ponding to the west of the site, so between the western edge of the proposed expansion and the remaining single-family house on that block, there is some green space. We talked a little bit about the tree removal last time around, so that is illustrated on here, but staff is satisfied with the design as they're proposing it. And with the expansion, again, meeting the parking lot island standards, we'll add green space to the parking lot they're proposing and provide that perimeter landscaping to the site. So With that brief kind of reminder background, staff is recommending approval of this item. And so that includes requests that the council act on 2 motions after conducting the second reading. After conducting the second reading, staff asks you to take action on a resolution to approve the plan unit development, and then takes action on a separate motion to adopt the ordinance that would put in place the PUD overlay zone. And with that, I'd stand for questions.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Lindahl? Councilmember Gurula.
Yeah, can you speak a little more to why in our zoning it is the 13 and not just 10 stalls in general, like for the islands? Why we say that there's 10, an island for every 10 instead of 13, and that choice to do those?
Yes, Mayor and members of the council. So when we updated the zoning code, we had we had standards for the downtown area that addressed adding green space into parking lots. And one of the kind of overarching goals of the zoning code update was to put in place standards that would kind of extend and mimic the design standards in downtown. And so one of the components then that came over with that is adding green space into parking lot areas. So if you'll notice it, you'll go around town now, and if I probably say this to you, you'll start to notice. There are some places where developers chose or property owners chose to put some landscape islands inside of parking lots, but generally speaking, they're not there. So what we've done is we've added this standard, and it really, we went into a lot more detail when we were developing the code. The idea about the number and spacing of the stalls is also not just an aesthetic thing. It also helps provide green space within parking lot islands to create a tree canopy that'll help reduce the heat effect that comes with larger parking lot areas. And so, in situations like this, the applicant, I think staff would say the applicant did a good job of trying to meet the standards and fitting them into an existing location with some slight deviations. So.
All right, anyone else? Any questions, comments? All right, I'd look for a motion to adopt the attached resolution approving a planned unit development amendment to expand the parking lot at 1854 1900 Weber Street.
So moved.
Any further discussion? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. The resolution passes. Okay, now I'm looking for a motion to adopt the attached ordinance zoning the property at 1854 1900 Weber Street as R3 traditional residential / PUD.
So moved.
Second. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the resolution passes. The ordinance zoning property passes. Thank you, Mr. Lindahl.
Thank you.
No more meetings for you. Bye. All right. Moving on, 8, new business, nothing scheduled. Item 9, discussion, nothing scheduled. Item 10, communications from the city manager, Ms. Crawford.
Thank you, Mayor. Several events coming up. These are just a few that are before the next council meeting. So, and there's many more that I didn't have here, but this Friday from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the South Fire Station is Fridays with Firefighters. This is one of 3 events that the fire department holds during the summertime. So that's, again, at the South Fire Station from 10 to noon. Market Fest kicks off next Thursday downtown. As everybody knows, that's from 6 to 9 p.m. I believe it's History Night for Market Fest. And then that's also I think that's the official kickoff day of Manitou Days. So the Grand Parade is June 19th at 6:30 p.m. downtown White Bear Lake. And a note for the council, so 6 p.m. if you will be here at 6 p.m. for the parade, we'll meet at the in the parking lot of the fire station. Yeah, so 6 p.m. on the 19th. We'll get you on the LaFrance and get you over to lead the parade. And then the same night is the beach dance at Memorial Beach from 8 to 11 p.m. I'll be volunteering there that night. And then June 20th, that Saturday, is the Vintage and Classic Boat Show on Lake Avenue, right in front of the White Bear Shopping Center, and by that Kowalski's area from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And as I said, there's a lot I'm not mentioning happening for Manitou Days, but you can look for the insert in the White Bear Press, this last week's edition, and there's their website. So that's what I have for right now.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Also on that June 20th, there will be a sandcastle contest, and I get to judge it.
Ooh,
They
nice.
just asked me today, so
Big deal.
enter into that sandcastle contest. My son won it one year. And there's also a fishing contest for the kids. I also wanted to give an update that I had my first coffee and conversation this weekend on Saturday, and it was in Stellmacher Park in Councilmember West's ward, and so that's Ward 3, and we had about 12 to 15 people show up. It was a great showing for our first one, and it's really nice, and people got to know each other, and it's a good community thing for the communities for each ward. So our next one is coming up. Look for that online. I think it's July 11th. And that was really great. And then yesterday I went to the Regional Council of Mayors and learned a lot there as well. So anxious to talk to you all about that sometime. All right, so that's it. And then item 11, adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We're adjourned.